Hi, this is Carla Beck, and I'm here to give you a little mini video seminar on how to get bookings using the guaranteed 4-step booking approach. Now, this can be used by any business that you have where you need to book appointments. Book appointments, book presentations. So if you're at a trade show and you want to book appointments from there, or you're at a meeting, you want to book appointments or presentations. It works perfect for the direct salespeople who constantly do presentations and book presentations from a presentation. This is this information and these insights that I'm going to be giving you can even be used in your personal life, with your kids, with your family, with your friends. The reason being is because sales is about people. The more you know about people, the more you understand people, the more you know how they work, the better you will be in sales. So that is why these principles can actually be used for all people. But today I'm going to use them specifically in business for how to get bookings. Now, the best place to get bookings is during the presentation where you are currently at. The reason being, you have a captive audience. They are there. They're not distracted. They're focused on you. They're focused on your product. They're in the moment. You may have even got them to be emotionally attached to the product or be having an emotional, enjoyable time. In all ways, they are focused and they are there with you. That is the time to get them to book a presentation. If you don't do that, then some people resort to getting on the telephone. So when you get on the telephone and you are marketing the possibility of them having a presentation or purchasing something, you have just turned into a telemarketer. Now, bless their hearts, but is that really what your job is? Now, whenever a telemarketer calls me, I'll just tell you one thing: I do not have time. And even when I do have time, it's not the right time for a telemarketer. So when you turn into a telemarketer now and you are getting people out of the moment and they're back into their life, busy life at work or wherever, you are now catching them as they're running out to a meeting or they're dealing with some urgent situation. If you're calling them at home, they're cooking their spaghetti sauce or, trying to find the kids or, having an argument with a teenager with an attitude. Okay, that is not the best time to call. So do your work at the show when you've got it in the bag because they are a captive audience that is in a positive moment with you. So what you're going to do is during the presentation, it is best to give them something to gain if they book a date or if they book a presentation or whatever you're trying to do. So you give them something to gain. So say, for example, you get your favorite piece on this table for free. You might give them something 75% off. It might be something half price. Let me just tell you, the best thing that works is not half price, 75% off or $100 free, because people don't think about they don't think in numbers. They think in things, tangible, physical things. So it's better to have something there that you say you get this for $19.99 or you get this for free. Or if you're with a company that offers that. Now, first of all, if you're not with a company that offers a something to gain bonus for booking presentations, you might want to go to that company and say, you know what, this would be a great idea to do. Now, in order for them to do that, there's going to have to be some qualifiers so they're not going to lose money, because the whole purpose of this is that you will make even more money than if you didn't have the something to gain bonus for them booking a presentation right on the spot. Now, if your company is not open to doing that, or these things always take time to put into action, then you could actually create your own something to gain bonus. So a good idea is if you can get a certain product that everybody loves, if you can get a great deal on that and buy that in bulk, or if you actually are selling a certain product and something has been discontinued. Well, discontinued, I'm not talking that it's out of date or expired. This is valuable product, but you've just switched up the product line so that this is no longer currently for sale. Well, that's perfect, because do you know what a discontinued product really is? It's an exclusive product. It is something that money can't buy. So if money can't buy it, it's even more valuable than what money can buy. So think of something like that, and then you let them, before the presentation, I would let them pick out their favorite piece for free that you are later going to use as the something to gain piece if they book a presentation. So if you're actually using exclusive pieces, then you might have 5 pieces and you ask them to pick out their favorite. And the best thing is if they can take that product with them to their chair and hold on to it. What's happening is while they're holding on to it, they're actually building a relationship, an emotional relationship with that product. They love it. Now they've got it in their hands. They're experiencing it, and it is theirs for 20 minutes. They own it. So that's the best thing. So they've got it, they're sitting down, and you're starting your presentation. Now, the best thing is if you also have, along with the something to gain, you have something to lose. Now, the way that you bring in the something to lose part is by making a deadline. So you get this when you book a presentation, but the something to lose part would be when you book a presentation here today before you leave. So if they do it, they get it, but if they leave, now they lose it. Those are the most effective things that you can do. Something to lose, something to gain. Now, you've got the qualifier, so during your presentation, you're going to say what they've got to gain and lose and the qualifier behind it. So you would say, okay, everybody's got their favorite piece there. Okay, that's yours for free. Now, you need a shock value. This is what I call the shock or the wow factor. They might be sleeping, hopefully not during your presentation, but that wakes them up. It's like, wow, that's a shock. She's giving us this to us for free or half price or whatever your deal is. But whatever it is, it has to be a shocker, because if it's not shocking them, it's not good enough. Secondly, you have to give them something that is a tremendous temptation for them. If they are not being tempted, you have not provided the temptation. So just keep that in mind. You are tempting them to book a presentation. You are shocking them about the benefits of booking. So you do this during your presentation, that's yours for free. Then what I do is I leave about a 2-second gap and I go on to say, here's the deal. Now I don't want to leave it longer than 2 seconds. I don't want to tell them what the deal is 5 minutes down the road. Otherwise they think I've taken them along the garden path and deceived them, and now it's not what they thought it was. So I shock them, and meanwhile they're going, what's this about? And within 2 seconds I'm going to say, here's the deal. So now their little doggy ears are all up, because here's the deal. So I would say we have what we call a scheduling bonus. And when you pick a date today, before you leave, to host one of these shows like you see here today in your own home or at your own office or wherever this may be, you get that for free. Now, I would also go on to tell them the other benefits, because that's only your shock factor to get them to book the presentation now, but there's also other benefits of them having a presentation or a show. So I would then go on to list off, you'll get $200 of other free product, or, up to 4 items at 75% off, all the benefits of that. And then I'm going to say the qualifier. The reason I don't say the qualifier right at the beginning is, this is yours for free, but you have to do this, this, and that. Okay, I'm going to lose them right off the spot. So I want to shock them, then I want to give them extra benefits so they're going, wow, this really is a great deal. And then I present my qualifier. And the way I present my qualifier is in a way that is, I reduce it almost to the ridiculous, so that they're going, yeah, that just makes sense. And that's nothing for me to do. So say, for example, the qualifier in this case would be that they have to have $300 of sales. So what I would say is, we need to make sure that when we arrive, there's more than the dog and the cat sitting on the couch. So our average show was $800. All you need is a very small minimum of only $300 of sales to qualify for all these benefits. Well, what happens, I like to say the dog and the cat because it brings humor, and right away they understand, hey, you know what, I can get your point. Yes, you do need more than the dog and the cat there. And then I say what the average is, and that they need to do basically 1/3 of the average, just a small minimum, I use the word just, so that I've got them laughing and saying, well, that makes sense, and that's nothing, I can do that. So now it is time for your personal one-on-one time. The presentation is finished and you're talking with people one-on-one. A lot of the times, this is the time that you're taking orders for the product that you've presented. So while you are in the order but not finished, because you never want to finish, because once someone's finished, they're done. They don't ask, do you want fries with that, after they give you the total. No, you're going to ask the question while they're still in the mode and they haven't finished. So the first thing I'm going to say is, this is if I'm offering them their favorite piece for scheduling a date, or whatever you've offered. If you've got 5 things there, like I said, and they're picking out their favorite, you're going to ask them a question that's relevant to this one. Okay, you know what was your favorite here tonight? And what they're going to do is they're telling me about their favorite. Well, all of a sudden they've got an emotional thing happening. Yes, I loved it. It was their favorite. Now they're relaxed, they're chilled out, and they're telling you about this favorite that they love. And all that it's doing is making them love it more because now it's coming out of their mouth. So that helps relax them and take off any pressure. The next thing I'm going to do is say, okay, that's yours for free. So I repeat the shock factor. And then I'm going to go over again what they need to do to get that. So, as I said, just for picking a date tonight, before you leave to host your own show like this, you're going to get that for free. So it's just giving them the information again, because, you have to say something to people more than once, way more than once. So then what I do is I'm going to make a suggestion. And you know what's great about suggestions? Everybody knows that when you say, you know what I suggest, they know they can say no. So there's no pressure, so they remain in a relaxed mode. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, you know what I suggest? I suggest that we pick a date. You can check with your calendar. You can check with your friends. If it doesn't work, we can change the date. Or if it really doesn't work, we can say goodbye. There's no pressure. But at least if it does work, you got your favorite piece for free. So I'm just looking over to the side so that you can actually watch me from a third person as a salesperson and not as the customer. Okay, so now I've suggested what could be less threatening and more relaxing than just suggesting. And they check with their schedule and their friends. If it doesn't work, we change it. If it really doesn't work, we say goodbye. There's no pressure, but at least if it does work, you haven't lost your favorite piece. So there's that fear of loss. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask the most powerful question. This is a question that's going to get you everywhere. It can be used in almost any situation. It even works powerfully in your personal life. Now I'll tell you what the magic question is, and then I'll explain how that works for anything. So the magic question is, if you were to book a show, would it be a weekday or a weekend, just to see how this would work? So now I'm saying, if you were, we don't even know if this is going to happen. If you were to book a show, would it be a weekday or a weekend, just to see how this would work? And then at that point, I can grab my calendar. And I release even more pressure when I'm grabbing my calendar. And I always keep my calendar closed. And then I would open it up so that while I'm fumbling through trying to find the date, they've got a little, I'm not looking at them, I've taken off the pressure, and they're just left there. So now, automatically, it's amazing, they come out with, well, it'd be a weekday. So then I would say, oh, would that be Monday to Thursday? Is there any day you have a course on, or, Pilates? That always makes them laugh. And they say, well, Wednesday night I have a club that I belong to. Okay, that's perfect. You know, how about Tuesday the 14th? I have that free. So all of a sudden, we've got a date. Now, the first rule is you never, ever, ever let them pick a date. Because what happens is there's 365 days a year. They've got that many days to pick from. Do you think that while they're sitting there relaxing and they're not in that mode with their whole calendar and life before them, they're going to be able to pick a date? No. So never, ever, ever let them pick a date. So you go Monday to Thursday, or if they say the weekends, you say, Friday to Saturday, which day, works out better. They usually know right off their head, Friday night, yeah, that's my night to, go out with my friends. Or Saturday afternoon, that's the only time I have to relax. So as soon as they say that, you say, okay, great. And what you do is you don't pick this Sunday, but you pick the next Sunday. Now, you might be in a city, and there are various cultures, which I have totally learned. It changes from city to city, where they will actually book a presentation in 2 or 3 days. Well, if that's the case, you would pick this Sunday. But if not, you pick the next one. So you say, you know what, I have April 14th free. How's that work for you? And now, all they got to think about is one day, April 14th. And at that point, if that doesn't work for them, they'll say, you know what, why don't we do the Friday night instead? So they pick the alternative date. So never let them pick the first date. But what it does is it will make it easy for them to pick an alternative date. Now, years ago, there used to be the teaching, you let them choose between 2 dates. I'm telling you, that doesn't work anymore, and I totally teach against that. Because when you're letting them pick 2 dates, they all of a sudden go into labor. Now, do you know what happens when you go into labor? Now, if you're a woman, you know, if it takes too long, you want to quit. And if you're a man who has experienced that with your spouse, you yourself know that you want to quit. This is not fun. I don't want to do this anymore. So what happens is when you put your customer into labor, immediately they'll go, you know what, let me just give you a call. I'll see how it works and I'll get back to you. You know what it means when they say they're going to give you a call or going to get back to you? It means that you are never going to hear from them again. It's not like they're not keeping their word or lying. It's just like life starts happening and you're not the most important thing. So unless you book them right there, it's not going to be happening. So the thing about this magic question that I wanted to say, how powerful it is it can actually be used in your own personal life. And what happened to me is I had my 8-year-old son and he wanted a cat. And we're driving along one day and he starts to suggest that he wants a cat. Well, the thing is, I had just bought a home and this person had a cat. And I'm sure they did not vacuum for 10 years. And so I didn't see this at first. The house looked nice and clean, but as we kept cleaning and getting the carpets done, oh my goodness, this place had cat hair everywhere. Run your hand across the wall and you got cat hair on it. The light fixtures, everywhere. So I'm telling you, as this cat adventure is getting known to me while I'm doing this, cleaning my house, I am starting to really have a bad attitude towards cats. In fact, I was at the point where I absolutely hated cats. I mean, I was down there cleaning and doing what I needed to do, hating cats. So there's no way I would ever have a cat again. And I actually do like cats. Anyways, my son is saying, Mom, I'd like to, have a cat. And I went, oh boy. You know what, Hunter? That is one thing that we are never going to get. You're never going to have that. Well, the problem is that his whole life, I had taught him that he creates his future. And you can have anything that you create. Your life is yours. Well, he turned to me and said, well, Mom, you said I create my future. I create my life. And I want to create a cat in my life. Can you imagine? What do I say then? Yes, you create your life, everything but a cat. Anyways, he proceeded to ask me the magic question. Now, I didn't even know about the magic question at the time. But when I learned it, I realized that's why this ended up happening to me. So he said, Mom, if we were to get a cat, and I'm like, we're not getting a cat. So there's no if we were. But he says, Mom, just, if we were to get a cat, would we get a fluffy one or would we get, one of those sleek ones? And I'm like, well, you know what? I always like the fluffy kind. But then I thought about the hair, but he got that out of me. Yeah, we got to get a cute fluffy one. Well, if we were to get a cat, would it be a boy or a girl? And I'm like, well, it would definitely have to be a boy because those girl cats, they really have an attitude. Well, before you know it, I am on Kijiji and we are getting a cat. Now, this magic sentence is so powerful. It will even work if you don't say it, but other people will say it to you. And let me give you an example of that. I was in a meeting where I was trying to get this school to do a fundraiser. I presented the whole fundraiser. I had done the perfect job. This was the perfect product for them. This was the easiest fundraiser that they had ever heard of doing. It was like a no-brainer. For sure, I had this in the bag. Well, all of a sudden, one of the teachers, because this was out of school, around the table, came up with something negative about doing a fundraiser with me. Well, you know what? I don't really know about doing this because this or that. And before I knew it, all the people that were on board with me were falling off. And I was so shocked because I had done the perfect presentation. I had done the perfect close. There was nothing more I could do. And I'm thinking, I'm going to lose this. I just can't believe this is happening. And while I'm dumbfounded, because I don't have any more words to say, because I've already said all the words perfectly, one of the teachers says, well, if we did this fundraiser with Carla, would we do it in February or in March? Oh my goodness, everyone's heads went down into their calendar, and before you knew it, they said, well, February we got this on, how about March? And I had the fundraiser. See, that person didn't even know they were saying the magic words. And at the time, I was just getting introduced to the magic words, and I had never used them like in a meeting with a group for something like that. It was then I realized these words work for anything. They are amazing. They're called the magic words, the magic sentence, the magic question. Now, I just want to warn you that you never want to say the 7 curse words. But when you say the 7 curse words, you can count them on your hand. Would you like to book a show? The answer is on the 8th finger. You don't want to hear no. I asked a girl once who was having some difficulties with bookings in her own business. And I said to her, well, what do you say? She goes, oh, there's no reason why they would say no. And I said, well, you know what? I can pretty well guarantee that whatever you are saying, you're really putting pressure on them. And that's why you're not getting bookings. Oh, no, she said. Well, what are you saying? And she said, I'm saying to them, would you be interested in hosting a show? Well, I couldn't believe my ears. That is the most pressure you can ever put on someone. First of all, we all know you don't ask a question where they can say yes or no right off the bat. But that's not even the reason why that is so bad to say that. It's because you are putting them under total pressure. They have to say yes. People don't like to say yes. As soon as they say yes, they feel, oh my goodness, I'm under pressure. I have expectations. There's some performance I need to do. Have you ever been somewhere where they asked, for volunteers, and you said, okay, yes, I'll do it. And then after you're walking away, you're saying, why did I say yes? I'm so busy. Oh my goodness, I got myself hooked into this. I'm stressed out. I don't want to do this. Now, what if in that same meeting they asked for volunteers and they said, you know what, I know you don't know whether you really want to do this or not, so what we're going to do is we just suggest that you try it out for a week or two. If it doesn't work, we can actually, arrange things a little different to work better for you. If it doesn't work at all, you can just say, this isn't for me and there's no pressure. We're done with it. You know what? There'd be a lot more volunteers. And they would stay because they never have that pressure on them, they don't even know that they've said yes. So the key is to never make your customer say yes, because people don't want to say yes. And as soon as they say yes, they're going to call you anyways and cancel because there's the pressure. So how do you get them to not say yes? You make a suggestion. We pick a date, see how that works. If it doesn't work, we can change it. If it really doesn't work, we say goodbye. There's no pressure, but if it does work, then at least you don't lose your special that we've got on today for booking a show. And as soon as they actually pick a date, then I go 100% ahead, like this is happening 100%. And you create an awesome presentation with a lot of people in attendance. So I just want to review right now what I do quickly. I'm going to say the whole thing from start to finish without stopping. And then what I'm going to do is actually show you 10 pressure releases that happen. So the first thing is I say, what was your favorite today? Oh, yes, I know. I love that. Okay, well, like I said, that's yours for free. Just for picking a date before you leave to host a show of your own like this, you get that for free. So, what I usually suggest is that we pick a date. You can check with your schedule and friends, see if it works. If it doesn't work, we can change it. If it really doesn't work, we can just drop it and say goodbye. There's no pressure. But at least if it does work, you've got your favorite piece for free. Now, I don't know if you were to book a show, would it be a weekday or weekend, just to see how this would work. And then they say weekday, and I say, okay, Monday to Thursday. Is there any day you have a course or something like that on? Thursday? Okay. How about Tuesday the 12th? I have that free. So that is it from start to finish. And now I'm going to point out the 10 pressure releasers. So number one, I'm asking them what their favorite is. So all of a sudden they've warmed up, they're emotional, they're in a happy mood. That sure set them at ease and taken off pressure. The next thing I say is, that's yours for free. So I'm repeating the shock factor. But then I say, just for picking a date. I'm not saying if you pick a date. I'm saying just for picking a date. It's kind of like The Price is Right. They show you the showcase and then they say, how do you get it? Just for spinning that wheel and having to stop on these numbers, you got that for free. So you're doing the same thing. Just for picking a date, you get tonight before you leave. Can't forget about that. You get that for free. Now, next thing you're doing is you're suggesting. How laid back is a suggestion? So what I suggest is that we pick a date and we see if it works. That's another one. See if it works. Check with your schedule and your friends. Check. We're not even putting this down like it's in stone. You're checking with your schedule and your friends. And if it doesn't work, we can change it. Oh boy, no pressure there. And if it really doesn't work, we just say goodbye. There's no pressure. Oh my goodness, if it really doesn't work, we just drop it. And then you go and say on top of that, no pressure. How much less pressure can that be? The next thing is you go straight into not putting pressure on them to pick the date, but you pick it by saying, if you were to book a show, if you were, who knows whether you would? We don't even know if this is possible, but if you were to book a show, so that's another stress release. Would it be a weekday or a weekend just to see how this would work? That's another stress release, just to see if this will work. You don't even know if it's going to work, just to see if it's going to work. Totally takes off pressure. Then when they say weekday or weekend, now you're saying Monday to Thursday, so there's no pressure for them to go into labor and start picking a date. All of those things release pressure. Once you get your bookings and bookings from presentations, the most important thing is not what you've just done and got the presentation. That's only 20% of your work. The other 80% is in keeping the bookings. And that 80% is going to happen with your 48-hour get into action follow-up call. And that's another seminar.